If you were watching News Channel 5 20 years ago tonight, this is what you saw. The deadly crash of U.S. Air Flight 405. The plane was taking off from New York's LaGuardia Airport, headed for Cleveland, when it tumbled off the end of the runway and into Flushing Bay. Bart Simon was on his way home to Shaker Heights that night. He was sitting in seat 4F on Flight 405.
The first thing I remember is I did get knocked out temporarily because when I came to, I was on my side and I saw the window and I started punching at the window to try to get out, which it wasn't really a good idea because you can't get through that window with your fist.
Outside, as rescue teams raced to the area, other flights were being warned to avoid it.
Go around TWA 274, go around. TWA 274, go around. United 164, go around.
I was lying on the floor, I was still in my seatbelt. When I figured out what was going on, I was able to get out of my seatbelt, and lucky for me, where I was sitting in that plane, it had sort of cracked open like an egg, and I was able to go right out, get right out of that plane without having to go down the aisle or look for an exit or anything. I just walked out. Well, I ran out, because it didn't take long to figure out what was going on, and ran right into the water. I sort of remember these two bodies there as I ran by. And that's really the only thing I remember. Everything was quiet. There was no screaming. There was no yelling. I think most people were knocked unconscious by the impact.
Bart remembers running through shallow water to the back of the plane and climbing onto some rocks to wait for rescuers. He was soaking wet and very cold.
Nobody had come down to get us or find us. And I remember sort of edging back towards the plane because the tail section was on fire and I could feel the warmth. And then I said, well, maybe that's not a real good idea, so I backed off.
He returned to Cleveland on another plane the next day. 27 people on Flight 405 died, including a young Cleveland couple who sat next to Bart on the plane.
People I'd been talking to for 45 minutes were gone. So it was difficult.
Investigators determined that the crash was caused by ice on the wings. Although the plane had been de-iced, the ice had a chance to form again before it took off. As a result, there were industry-wide changes in de-icing regulations. Did it change your life?
People have said to me, everything happens for a reason. So there's a reason you were spared. If there was a reason, I like to think it's so I could raise my children because they've given me so much pleasure. And my wife, being able to spend the time with my wife and my children, that's been the biggest bonus.
Deborah Lee, News Channel 5.